Hello and welcome to the CWU TV News Roundup, bringing you the latest stories from around the communications industry. As well as this monthly programme, you can catch up with all the latest news and interviews on CWU TV and in the union's digital news magazine eVoice. Watch out for the icons you can see on screen now that show you where you can find more in-depth reports. Coming up this month, 2 London mail centres set for closure, new agreement pending with IPSL, massive yes vote for industrial action at the Isle of Man Post Office, and the CWU's Keep the Post Public campaign marches on. But first, up to 500,000 people marched on London as part of the TUC's March for the Alternative campaign.
Well, today is about letting the voice of people be heard, about making a noise and saving our services and reaching out to the whole of Britain to say, you know, we need investment, not cuts.
We hope to give solidarity support to all those other groups who are currently under attack by this government, and the trade union movement is going to stand against this government and lead the working class in this country to a better future. In
a series of well-received speeches, the CWU's General Secretary Billy Hayes, along with TUC General Secretary Brendan Barber and Labour leader Ed Miliband, all condemned the government's damaging cuts agenda.
It's absolutely vital that we unite all of our public and private sector unions. 6.2 million members gives us a really solid base on which to build our campaign. But it is also reaching out beyond the trade union movement to the wider community, to the people who are in the background here, just making a sense that this is a campaign that matters not just to trade unions, but for people who care about public services, who care about jobs, who care about the future of our communities.
CWU Deputy General Secretary Dave Ward says he's outraged at Royal Mail's announcement about its ColleagueShare scheme. The shares, valued at £1,400 back in September 2010, have now plummeted to nothing. However, the CWU has learnt employees who have recently left the company have received their payout. Royal Mail's position on ColleagueShare and the new business plan raises serious concerns over the company's commitment to the business transformation agreement.
Despite the financial problems that this company faces, there is no way that these shares, so-called shares, could have fallen in value in that short period of time. Obviously, we don't want to make knee-jerk reactions. We want to meet the company. We also want to meet the government, by the way, because the government also agreed the rules of this scheme, and I understand that they're involved in the valuation. I could see how this might impact on the privatisation debate as well. So we need to see the government, we need to see Royal Mail at the highest level, but we'll be making it clear to them that we cannot accept the position that they've set out.
Royal Mail has announced that 2 London mail centres and a large delivery office in Rathbone Place are set to close by 2012, raising concerns about the potential loss of hundreds of jobs and the threat of compulsory redundancies.
They have clearly decided in London they're going to asset strip all the expensive property. They're going to lead to compulsory transfers and compulsory redundancies without consulting the union. Our members first heard this on the news. They didn't hear it from Royal Mail, they heard it via the media, which is unacceptable.
CWU's current position is that we've had an independent report published, provided to the business. My concern is that the agreement that we've reached with the business allows the union to have input into the plans that's been developed for the rationalisation, and clearly the business aren't taking any notice of whatever review that's taken place, independent or not.
After securing a strong yes in favour of industrial action from staff at IPSL, CWU is recommending a new agreement following a period of intensive negotiations. CWU has secured significant improvements to the new pension arrangements, along with a 3% pay rise for all CWU members at the cheque processing site in Bootle. However, the final salary pension scheme is still set for closure. Other news hitting the headlines this month. BT has announced it's to bring new customer service work to its Barrow call centre after CWU's successful campaign to save the site. Following the government's budget in March, CWU has expressed concerns about the impact it will have on unemployment and the quality of jobs. And the CWU argues that the government's plans to abolish the May Day bank holiday shows clear political bias and is an attack on working people. CWU and Post Office Limited have reached a 2-year pay agreement. Year 1, 2010-11, is a 2.25% increase in basic pay, with an additional lump sum of £1,000. Year 2, 2011-12, staff will receive a 1.4% pay increase. At the same time, the union has accused the government of betraying the Post Office by handing private company PayPoint the contract for channelling business. A move that will see the Post Office lose out on £15 million in revenue.
The government's double standards here is atrocious. They claim they were going to make the Post Office the shop window of government services. They say that in one breath. The Minister only last November said that they wanted to back the Post Office, and then we see them taking away a major contract to the competitors, private competitor like PayPoint. It's double standards, double talk, and it's this government doing a complete and utter U-turn on its position.
The Isle of Man Post Office staff have voted yes in its first ever ballot at the company in a dispute over pay. The ballot saw a massive 85.5% turnout, with 84% voting yes. CWU is seeking reward recognition for the 2009 period and onwards. Terry Pullinger, CWU Assistant Secretary, had this to say.
Well, it's a huge endorsement of the union's position, especially as given that management have been campaigning heavily for a no vote, as they would. We will have further meetings, but unfortunately they're just offering the executive team again as negotiators and not the people that are making the decisions, i.e. the board and the government. So in many ways, the longer this has gone on, the more knowledge we've gained, our ignorance has been exposed in some way. What we didn't realise, which has now come to the fore, is that 18 managerial grades have had pay rises, whilst they're saying there's a public sector pay freeze. They obviously want to keep pace with inflation. We understand there's economic problems, but this is a successful company and there is clearly money there to at least demonstrate and reward these people for their efforts.
CWU has welcomed Ofcom's plans to auction the UK's 4G mobile spectrum and urges the government to use the money raised to fund the rollout of next-generation broadband across the UK.
We welcome the 4G auction in some respects. We know it's not going to raise as much as the 3G, £22.5 billion it did, but we're looking in the regions of probably £4 or £5 billion. And what we are quite clearly saying in CWU is that this is government money. They're going to get in. They didn't expect it's a windfall, if you like, and they should be using it for the investment in broadband.
The telecoms regulator has also released research showing that broadband speeds are falling well below advertised rates.
The speeds will come up, but they mainly need fibre. At the moment, we know we can get 2/3 of the country. With a bit more extra money investment from companies and the government, we'll get probably to that 80-90%. It's the last 10% of the country that's the real problem.
And finally, the CWU's Keep the Post Public campaign travelled to Brighton last month, generating great interest and support from the general public. The government's Postal Services Bill is currently in committee stage in the House of Lords.
This is a fantastic tribute to the people of Brighton, the CWU and all the other unions who are joining us on the demonstration. So well done to the South East region.
Privatisation is about satisfying shareholders. Royal Mail is a public service. I don't want to be working for an industry that's geared just towards profits. It would mean the destruction of our terms and conditions, a worse service to the public. It will not do anything except for the wealthy who will make lots of money out of the sale.
I'm supporting the CWU's campaign here in Brighton today because I think it's vital that we do not privatise the Royal Mail. If we do that, then we're spelling the end of our local post office network, which has already been under attack for years. What we should be doing right now is investing in our post office network, not letting it completely get sold off.
What I'd say to our members is that whatever happens in the parliamentary process, there are issues that are associated with this campaign and with what the government are trying to do that are really going to affect them in their workplace. And I know all the other problems that they've got. I understand how difficult it is at the moment to try and make sense of everything that's going on, to deal with some of the very difficult changes that are associated with modernisation. We still believe that's necessary, but what we don't believe is that their hard work and all of the things that they've strived for over the years should then be handed over to a private company.
For more information on events near to you and how you can continue to support the campaign, please visit the CWU's dedicated website, keepthepostpublic.org.uk. Well, that's it for this month. Don't forget to check out the recent editions of eVoice and CWU TV for extended reports, in-depth interviews and much more. Until next time, thanks for watching.